It's a case they're calling Trayvon Martin meets Amber Geiger. And I covered the Amber Geiger trial, and now I'm covering this. And I hope that it doesn't appear that I am some sort of race baiter, that I think that everything comes down to race. I don't think that. But I do believe that we have to stop denying that there's a common theme here among these white cop shootings. No matter what, I don't think we're hiding or ignoring or pretending that all these young white middle-class citizens are being targeted. No, the target seems to be, for whatever reason, whether it's the remnants of slavery or socioeconomic status or criminal statistics or whatever it is, it comes down to these young black males, innocent black males, being gunned down. The case today is this young man named Ahmoud Arbery. Ahmaud was a 25-year-old male, lived with his mom in Brunswick, Georgia, which is near Savannah. And he would go jogging on a regular basis, and he would jog pretty far through his neighborhood, through another neighborhood. And on this day, he decided, February 23rd, 2020, he decided at some point, it seems, according to witnesses, that he jogged through a construction site. Now, that we don't know if he jogged through the construction site or if he jogged by, and Travis McMichael thought he matched the description of someone who had been burglarizing either this construction site or some local houses. All of that is unclear. Now, I should say this happened in February 23rd. And the details are still unclear because the police haven't released the details, which is the first thing I want to start with. The reason I'm going to assume a lot of these facts that could turn out to be wrong is because of the non-release of facts. Travis McMichael, who shot Ahmoud Arbery, ended up shooting Ahmoud Arbery to death, was a former cop and a former district attorney. Now, usually if a police officer or a former police officer is innocent, they release the videos and the evidence immediately. They'll release the criminal history of the young person, of the victim, of the person the police shot. They'll release the dash cams, the body cams, whatever they have. And if it's questionable, even questionable, they hold it. And that's this case. And it's since February 23rd, nothing has happened. And since all the evidence coming out points away from it, the video hadn't come out. In fact, I think this video is leaked. I saw it first on a Georgia radio station website. That was the first place I think it popped up, and they took it down. But now it's everywhere. And so I don't think they even released this video knowingly and willingly, the police I'm talking about. But so back to what was happening. Ahmoud Arbery decided to go on a jog through his neighborhood. He jogged through this construction site. Now, even if you steal from a construction site, it's not a felony. It's not burglary because there's no place to knock down. It's not breaking and entering. It might be theft if you're stealing something from it, of course. That's not yours. And it's probably not even criminal trespass if you don't steal something from it, because there's nothing, unless there's a sign saying no trespassing, there's nothing that says you can't run through this shell of a house. If you're not causing any harm, not doing things, just on your jog, there you go. So he might not even committed a crime. And by all appearances, even from what the person who shot Ahmaud, Travis McMichael says, he wasn't committing a crime. Now, Travis McMichael thought he was. Either thought he matched the description of someone who had been robbing some places, or was running through that construction site, and he thought he was in that construction site and stealing or something to that degree. So Travis McMichael and his son jumped in their car with another neighbor. They grabbed guns first. They jumped in the car and they followed after Ahmaud. And they tried to stop him while jogging. Now, at this point, another neighbor apparently saw the commotion or was involved with this and followed them and videotaped it. And I'm about to play this video. Now, mind you, this is a very graphic video. I'm warning you now, this young man dies. So if you proceed from here, if you want to just hear what I have to say afterwards, after I break it down, just wait for the video to disappear from this corner right here. As soon as you don't see the video and it's back to Ahmaud's picture, then we'll go from. So right here we have Ahmaud running down the street in the white, and the McMichaels and the other neighbor here in this truck. And you see Ahmaud decides to go left, and McMichael steps out of the truck with a gun. Now again, I think it's important to see that Ahmaud tries to avoid him. He tries to run to his right. He tries to run right around the truck. You'll see that here. And then you hear Mr. McMichael say something like freeze or something like that. And Mr. McMichaels goes around the front of the truck here. And at which point, what I would do, you're faced with someone with a shotgun who could kill you running away. And we'll talk about that in a second. So Ahmaud runs back around and runs towards Mr. McMichael to get the shotgun. At which point, I assume Mr. McMichael probably thought that if Ahmaud got the shotgun, his life would be in danger, even though his son, who was with him, had a gun. But regardless, a fight for a gun is a fight for your life, and he shoots him while Ahmaud is running towards him, and then shoots a second time at least, I believe a third time. And I don't know which one hit him, but Ahmaud fights for a little bit, but then able to punch him third time, third shot, and he collapses and dies. Now, when looking at that video, you have to keep a few things in mind, and this is where it gets very similar to the Amber Geiger case. So far, it's been very similar to the Trayvon Martin case, in that the McMichaels saw a young black man in their neighborhood, decided he was up to no good, even though all evidence points to that he was just walking through, in this case jogging through, and decided to police their own neighborhood, and in this case really police their own neighborhood, and saying that they thought he committed a crime, decided to confront him with weapons armed. Very similar to Trayvon Martin in those cases. And I always said of Trayvon Martin that I think the jury made the right decision based on the evidence that they have. But it was George Zimmerman gambling. He was gambling that there wasn't video like this. He was gambling that nobody was looking out the window. A third-party witness wasn't looking out the window. And so if they would have said that George Zimmerman on the stand did what these people did, or it was on video that he did what these people did, which is confront an innocent person with weapons, I do believe that George Zimmerman would have gone to jail, would still be in prison today. However, the jury didn't have that, so they just had George Zimmerman's words and that he had lost the fight, much like this guy was kind of losing the fight if he hadn't have shot Ahmaud. So in that case, it's been similar to Trayvon Martin, but from this point on, it kind of goes towards Amber Geiger, because George Zimmerman had no reason to believe that Trayvon committed a crime. These people, apparently, from everything they said, whether it was reasonable or not, and that's what the jury's going to decide later, they thought Ahmaud had committed a crime. So in that way, you think there's some excuse to them making the stop. And in fact, that's what the DAs seem to say. That's what the DAs have originally let out, the second DA. So they're saying that these people thought he had committed a crime and they had probable cause to stop them, which, if he didn't create a crime, is not the case. A better way to think of that is from this young man's perspective. He's jogging his regular route, whatever, maybe a new route, but regardless, he's jogging on the street in his jogging clothes, and he's confronted by a car full of strangers carrying guns. At that point, he tries to go around them. One of the strangers comes out with the gun. He tries to get around the truck and run away. At that point, he realizes the stranger is coming around the truck where he has a good shot, and he runs back towards the aggressor, the stranger with the gun. Now, this is something anybody of us could happen. And from his perspective, from Ahmaud's perspective, these men are trying to cause him harm. There's no other reason. The thing that people don't understand is, when you're considering what these guys thought, Ahmaud had no reason to know that these men suspected him of anything. He had no reason to know that. All he knows is that these are bad guys with guns, and they are out to hurt him. Now, if you did rob somebody, if it turns out Ahmaud was robbing anybody, had stolen something, then this takes a completely different picture. But again, assuming that the absence of that evidence means that that evidence doesn't exist, which is maybe a faulty assumption, but we're going on that now. I'll gladly apologize later if that's the case. However, in the absence of that evidence, we have to assume that Ahmaud thought these people were trying to hurt him and he was being reasonable and these men were doing the wrong thing. Okay? So you have to take a look at it from his perspective. Now, why isn't anybody doing that? Well, it's very simple. McMichael was a police officer for many years. And not only that, he was a district attorney investigator. In fact, the police and the district attorney of the county this was in said that they had to recuse themselves. There was a conflict of interest. So there was a special prosecutor appointed. In fact, Waycross County prosecutor DA, if you're in Waycross County, I would hold him responsible. Just passed the buck. He didn't do anything. And that is, in my opinion, dereliction of duty, unless, again, maybe he was conflicted out. But regardless, they all gave Mr. McMichael the benefit of the doubt. Now, think of how crazy that is. That because the people with guns thought that he had committed a crime, the guy who didn't have any reason to think that they thought he committed a crime should have known that. It's a crazy way to think, and it's not justice, and it's why Amber Geiger was convicted, because the mistake was not one of reasonableness. Now again, everybody knows, there is no doubt that this is happening to black males more. That if this was a 50-year-old white lady running down the street, that never would have happened. We all know that. That's no doubt. So say what you want about McMichael not being a racist. Maybe he's married to a black lady. I don't know. But what we know is this is not happening to 50-year-old white ladies. Seems to be happening disproportionately, ridiculously disproportionately to young black males. And in fact, the worst part of it is, I believe somewhere on the 911 tape, the guy said, I don't know, it's just a black guy running down the street when someone was asked if what Ahmaud had done wrong. Now, back to the benefit of the doubt. The DA is not giving Ahmaud the benefit of the doubt. Why? Because they side with Travis McMichael. They can only put themselves. There is no... And I think that's where a lot of this comes from. I think we don't have that there is lacking the ability to empathize with a young black male. What they can empathize with is their DA investigator. Now, what most people don't realize is that almost all these people know each other. Not only was he a DA investigator for that county, but probably went to conferences with DA investigators and DAs in other counties. Probably did one-on-ones with them. Maybe had lunch. Maybe met up. Did task force. There's so many ways that these people interact. And if you think, I can tell you in no uncertain terms, that the average citizen does not get the benefit of the doubt that Travis McMichael does. And we know for a fact that Ahmaud did not get that benefit of the doubt. We know that because it's been 2 months, and just now the second district attorney is finally recommending to go to the grand jury. Now, I was completely wrong. If you remember, if you watched the Amber Geiger stuff, I was completely wrong about that. So I'm going the opposite way. I'm going to say this time I'm going to have faith in the grand jury system and the jury system, because this is not self-defense. You can't make an unreasonable mistake like Amber Geiger did, like the McMichaels did, that a black person is a criminal just because you get scared, just because you make assumptions. That's not a reasonable mistake. So if you make the mistake and put someone like John Botham or someone like Ahmaud in that situation, you are going to have to account for it. The point of justice is that innocent people are vindicated and guilty people are held responsible. We as a citizenry, nobody thinks that it's okay for a citizen sitting in their house or jogging down the street to be shot dead by someone making a mistake, and then to not be vindicated, to be essentially called a criminal, and to be treated like a criminal at a trial for someone who killed you. Hopefully, this jury will see that. Hopefully, To me, in my opinion, they should have a harsher sentence to Mr. McMichael, who decided to take the law into his own hands, even though he was a former police officer. And here's what I also know. If this didn't get in the news, if this hadn't hit, if the mother hadn't gone on every station she could, then this would be buried away. It wouldn't reach the grand jury, and it would have been swept under the rug. Maybe even 10 years ago, definitely 40 years ago. This does not go. So this is why videos like these and reporting like TMZ did, like releasing these videos, is so important. So the public can not become a mob and lynch somebody, but so that they can hold these people in power, these police officers, these district attorneys, these judges, to their job, and to make sure that all citizens are protected, no matter their socioeconomic status, no matter their color, no matter what is going on. But all that being said, the one thing that I know for sure, the one thing I was right in the Amber Geiger case, is this police officer is going to get a lighter sentence than you and me would. Maybe that's okay, because maybe we asked for them to do an impossible job, and when they mess up, we give them a little bit of leeway. That's not my thinking, but is certainly how it works in the real world. So that's what we know. Thank God the mom decided to keep pressing on and keep coming forward and keep yelling into the darkness, because without her, we would not know about this. This video wouldn't have got released, and nothing would have happened. And that would have been a gross miscarriage of justice, no matter what happens from now on. Whether the McMichaels are cleared, whether Ahmaud was doing something wrong, this light should be shown on it so that we can reach justice. And I'm going to end on a positive note. This wouldn't have happened a long time ago. And one of the few good things that social media brings to us is our ability to have some effect, no matter how small, on getting justice for people like this. To tell the McMichaels of the world that you can't make assumptions, and that if you do, you are held responsible for whatever comes afterwards, and you won't be able to blame the victim when things go wrong. If you have any comments, if you have any questions, put them down there. I'm pretty good about answering them. I want to thank you for listening to me. I hope things have been going well, and I will try to keep up with this as it develops. Y'all have a good night.